almost late.
Almost.
Well, Adam Morfield's in the corner. Where will we go? Jimmy Rascal.
Welcome to the General Affairs Committee. My name is John Lowe and I represent District 37. I'm the chair of this committee and will be conducting today's hearing. Today we'll be hearing from 11 appointments. If you wish to testify in person on any of the matters before us, we ask that you fill out one of the green sheets of paper. They are located on the tables of either side of the room when you first come in the door. If you're here and you do not wish to testify but wish to state your support or opposition for any of the matters before us, we ask that you fill out the sign-in sheet. If you do testify, please hand your sheet to the committee clerk as you come up. Please begin your testimony by stating and spelling your full name for the record, which is very important for our transcribers. It's not for us to hear or listen, but it's for the transcribers. The appointer will be given an opportunity to open. The appointer? Appointee. The appointee. It says the bill. So the appointee will be given an opportunity to open. Then we will hear from the proponents, opponents, and neutral testimony, if there are any, for each person. We will ask you to listen very carefully to try not to be repetitive. I don't think we'll have that problem today. We do use the light system in General Affairs Committee. Each testifier will be afforded 3 minutes to testify. The green light then signifies your start. When the light changes to yellow, you have 1 minute remaining for you to conclude your remarks. When the red light comes on, your time is expired and we will open up to the committee to any questions that they may have for you. At this time, I'd like to encourage everyone to turn off or silence their cell phones or electronic devices, anything that makes noise. We are equipped for electronics, so you may see members referencing their iPads, iPhones, or other electronic devices. I can assure you that they're just researching the matters before us. If you have a prepared statement, an exhibit, or anything you wish to have distributed to the committee, we ask that you provide 10 copies to our committee clerk. If you do not have 10 copies, don't worry. Provide what you have to the committee clerk, and we will make copies and distribute them to the committee. Well, with that, we'll proceed to the introduction of members, starting at my right with John Kavanaugh.
John Kavanaugh, Legislative District 9, Midtown Omaha. You threw me off by saying my name.
Yeah, sorry.
Tom Brewer, District 43, 11 counties of western and central Nebraska.
Jana Hughes, District 24, Seward, York, Polk, and a little bit of Butler County.
Brian Harden, District 48, Banner, Kimball, Scottsbluff counties.
Rick Holcroft, District 36, West and South Sarpy County.
All right, and to my right, we have Lori Holman, who is my RA, and the committee clerk is Andrew Shelburne. And we have Colin Bonney today, who is a criminal justice major, and we have a guest.
I'm Kristen.
What is your major?
I major in political science at UNL.
All right, thank you, Kristen. And with that, we will go to our first appointment with Zachary Cheek with the Nebraska Arts Council.
There's a good one.
How are you?
Not too bad, sir. Yourself?
All right, good.
Good.
You may
Okay, perfect.
start.
Thank you for making the time to see me today, Senators and Mr. Chairman. My name is Zachary Cheek, Z-A-C-H-A-R-Y, last name Cheek, like the side of your face, C-H-E-E-K. I am here today as a member of and reappointee by Governor Pillen to the Nebraska Arts Council. I am the youngest member of the Nebraska Arts Council in state history, in spite of James Wright, if he were here, having shaved his goatee, which would give a false presumption. But I've been on the Arts Council since October 2020. I was appointed by Governor Ricketts. This would be my second term of a second 3-year term. I enjoy what I do on the Arts Council. A little bit about me is that I was born and raised in Omaha. I went to Elkhorn High School. I went to college in Lincoln, where I got degrees in economics and music. I was in the student government on behalf of the Fine Arts College. I won a writing campaign as the only student representative for fine arts, art history, design, music history, dance, you name it. And the one thing I'm proud of is that I created a program at UNL when I was in student government that helped students use their educational expenses through the American Opportunity Tax Credit to get federal tax deductions. So typically that would apply to calculators, textbooks, pencils, and the like, but I also made sure it applied to instruments, paintbrushes, things like that. I graduated from UNL in 2022, and I continued my service on the Arts Council even while pursuing a full-time master's degree at the London School of Economics. So I would travel from London to Omaha and continue my service on the Arts Council. And I finished my master's degree in England about 6 months ago. In the British academic system, master's degrees are typically 1 year. And now my full-time job is I work on Senator Deb Fisher's staff in DC. And one thing I should mention, Senators, is that while I am not here in any way as a representative of Senator Fisher's office, while I'm here purely as an individual, I made sure that my service on the Arts Council, I consulted with the Senate Ethics Committee concerning my service on the Arts Council. And it was determined that because my service is voluntary, uncompensated, and not in conflict with my duties as a congressional employee, my service is fully compliant with the rules and code of conduct of the U.S. Senate. And I also left with Mr. Shelburne about 6 copies of the Senate Code of Conduct shortened to the appropriate section, in case it's helpful as you guys consider my capacity to serve on the Arts Council for another 3 years. And I enjoy what I do. I have taken the opportunity to serve on additional panels and judging opportunities and the like that members of the council could serve on. I love the arts, I love Nebraska, and I believe in public service and the inherent good that the Arts Council does. And yeah, in spite of how much it might help me to say otherwise in the moment, it's largely not because of anything that I do that makes the Arts Council so phenomenal. It's because of our executive director, Mike Markey, his phenomenal staff in downtown Omaha, and in addition, things like the relationships that they cultivate across the state with artists and stakeholders and, of course, elected officials, the history that they've been able to build as an organization ever since the X administration, and, of course, the motivation that drives them every day. So I'm very grateful to play a small part in that. And I believe that the Arts Council does quantifiably beneficial work, whether it's the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney, or Jazz on the Green in Midtown, or the Red Path Gallery in Seward, or the West Nebraska Arts Center on East 18th Street in Scottsbluff. The Arts Council does measurably beneficial work, and I'd love the chance if you'll allow it to serve another 3 years. And I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cheek. Are there any questions? Senator Holcroft.
Thank you, Chairman Lowe. I'm just curious.
Yes, sir.
Degree in music, was it vocal instrument?
Instrumental, trombone.
Trombone.
So I played trombone. I practiced probably 2 hours a day, 6 days a week for about 6 years. I studied with a member of the Omaha Symphony. I was really into it. I was in the marching band. The line of people who run onto the field, I was always the first one in that line. Yeah. And so yes.
I'm also a trombone player,
Oh.
but only in high school.
I'll remember that, sir. I usually see Senator Clements at Cornhusker Marching Band alumni stuff. So, yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. Senator Brewer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I just wanted to tell you that I appreciate your help in your other capacity in Senator Fisher's office.
Oh, you remember it. Thank you,
Every
sir.
time there's an issue or a problem, you make sure that we get answers and you solve it. So I'm sure if you approach us with the same passion, which obviously you have, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Senator Kevin.
Thank you, Chairman, and thanks for being here, Mr. Cheek, and your willingness to continue to serve with all these other things.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to ask about the arts, what is the art and entertainment districts?
The creative district.
Creative districts,
Yes,
that's
sir.
what they're called. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it does a great service for our state. We're coming up to 4 dozen creative districts pretty soon, 28 now, or 20 counting. I just attended across the street an entire lunch where they talked about how amazing the creative districts are. I mean, they have them in Hart City and Valentine. They have them in Elkhorn. I don't know if they have any in Midtown.
Oh, we do.
Okay, perfect. All the better. They have them in Brownville and Tecumseh and all sorts of places. They do a really important economic benefit for our state. And I'm not just saying that as an arts council member, but also a graduate of the London School of Economics, that I'm very motivated in the work it does. I'm very glad that Senator Stinner and Senator Flood had put so much money into the program originally. And I'll continue in my capacity as just a guy from Omaha to write Senator Von Gillern about it and tell him how amazing I think it is.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kavanaugh. When you passed out the Senate Code of Official Conduct, I thought maybe you were trying to give us a hint here. But I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
So are there any other questions? Seeing none? Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next, we have John Gross, excuse me. Gotta wear glasses.
Thank you. Reach out back to follow up. John Gross, JONGROSS, and I am here to hopefully be approved as an appointment by Governor Pellin to the Nebraska Arts Council. It'll be my first term. A little bit of biographical information. Originally born and raised in Lincoln. Went to the university here. Got a degree in finance. At that point, I actually got a job at Union Bank as an intern. So I've spent the bulk of my entire professional career at Union Bank, and I presently head up the wealth management division at the bank. In terms of previous arts exposure and involvement, volunteer work, I've served a couple terms in the Lincoln Symphony Orchestra. After that, I was asked to go onto the board of the Sheldon Art Association, and I've served probably 12 years now in my third term. That included a 2-year stint as board president as well. And then kind of a corollary to that, there's a kind of a locked position with Public Art Lincoln that I'm also currently on the board of Public Art Lincoln as well. So with that, I thank you for your time and entertaining questions you might have.
Mr. Gross, thank you. Are there any questions? Senator Holdcroft.
Thank you, Chairman Lowe. Just curious, any relation to Daniel J. Gross?
Not that I know of. Sorry.
Senator Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks for being here, Mr. Gross, and your willingness to serve. I just wanted to ask a little bit about the Sheldon. What is that?
The Sheldon Art Museum at the university.
Okay.
So
the name rings a bell, but
Yeah,
it didn't
yeah.
immediately. I'm not a Lincoln guy. So
gotcha. Yeah.
and then you also had on here Public Art Lincoln. What is that?
That is it's kind of a joint organization for the city of Lincoln for public artworks from that perspective. And my involvement with that is when I was Sheldon board president, there's a standing position on Public Art Lincoln for the president of the Sheldon board. And so that's initially got on. And then when my term as president expired, they asked me to continue on that board for a while. So.
Okay. And I asked the previous appointee about the creative districts. Have you had any interaction with the creative districts?
Not to the same extent, other than just once I've experienced firsthand. And I agree with what was said earlier. I think it could be a tremendous economic benefit to the communities that embrace it. And not only just in addition to what it can do from improving the quality of life for people that are actually living there in terms of bringing in additional people as well. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kavanaugh. Well, I hope everybody else is as well versed as the first two are. So it seems like all-star people out here.
Thank you.
No other questions? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Next, we have John Stinson. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Welcome. My name is John Christopher Stinson, actually go by Chris. It's JOHNCHRISTOPHERSTINSON. And I'm honored to have been appointed to the Nebraska Racing and Gaming Commission and to appear before the committee today. I'd like to take just a little time to go over my background and answer as best I can any questions you may have. I was born and raised in Grand Island and graduated from UNL with a business degree. After graduation, I was hired by a Midwestern-based brokerage firm, and I returned to Grand Island, where I spent 40 years in the stock and commodity futures business, much of the time working in the ag sector with large and small producers, helping them to do their hedging programs and things like that. My experience with horsemen and racing goes back to my childhood when my dad would take me in the mornings to watch the horses work out at Fauner Park. And when I came back from college and entered business, I had friends and clients who were involved in horse racing. One of my very good friends and customers being Don Liefeld, who won Fauner's biggest race, the Bosman Gus Fauner handicap, twice before passing away in 2016. Also, my brother Todd, who unfortunately had a strong will but a weak heart like Don, passed away in 2019. But he was very involved in horses, mostly in New York State, with internationally known owners and trainers. A highlight for my brother and myself was sitting with the Stronach family, who owns a lot of racetracks in the country, when their horse Go Sapper won the 2004 Breeders' Cup Classic, a $4 million purse at the time. A little bit more on kind of what my brother and I were kind of involved with a little bit. My brother was involved in a horse farm in upstate New York, about 60 miles from the oldest racetrack in the country, Saratoga. After he died, the owner, and they had about 40 mares on that farm. After he passed away, the owner became kind of reclusive, or actually really reclusive, and no mares were ever bred. They were fed, but that was about it. About a year and a half ago, the owner decided to look into selling the land, and to do so needed to sell those horses. Well, I found out through some sources that the firm contracted for the sale had a reputation of selling to known kill buyers. Suffice it to say, those people use methods to dispose of horses in some of the most reprehensible ways imaginable. But thanks to a wonderful rescue organization called Unbridled Thoroughbred Foundation, they, along with my family, friends, and other caring individuals, were able to outbid those killers and find good homes for the horses to live out the rest of their lives. And for that, I'm very, very grateful. Thoroughbred racing in Nebraska has had a rough go since the 1990s for a number of reasons, and racing in general has declined in popularity for some of those same reasons, and some of those are self-inflicted. Horsemen and women in Nebraska feel that they've been competing with neighboring states with, in a sense, one arm tied behind their back purse-wise. Nebraska racing may never be what it once was when Oxarben was thriving, but now with casinos, hopefully the horsemen can compete going forward on a level playing field. Very briefly, I consider a commissioner's job as being a regulator. I do not propose in any way to tell racetrack managers, casino managers, or construction people how to do their jobs, for one simple reason. They are the experts in those fields, not me. Our job is to make sure that the rules and regulations put into place to ensure the public is treated equitably and fairly by all involved in racing and gaming, and that those rules and regulations be strictly and uniformly enforced. And finally, without patrons, racetracks and casinos are monuments to failure. And the only way to get the numbers of patrons needed to make them successful so that the public gets to realize the promised benefits from them, property tax relief being at or near the top of the list, is to make sure that those forms of entertainment are a destination that those patrons can attend with the understandable expectation of fairness and integrity. A little fun at a casino doesn't hurt either. I'm sure I speak for all of our commissioners and staff when I say that those aims are all of our goals, and I thank you all for your time. I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Stinson. Sure. And my son also goes by his middle name, and his first name is John. So
is that right?
We didn't want to get the two of us confused, I guess.
I understand. Are
there any questions? Senator Cavan.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for your willingness to serve. How long have you been serving?
I was appointed by Governor Pillen, I believe, in August.
Oh, so have you been to some of the meetings?
I've been to 2 meetings in Lincoln, and we did 1 Zoom meeting. We have another meeting coming up this Friday at Fauner Park. They do them when the racetracks are open. They try to do the meeting at the racetrack. So we'll have our meeting on Friday at Fauner.
Okay.
So I haven't been around too long, no.
Right. Well, I remember how you came to this position.
Right.
So in that time, there's been a bit of, I guess, controversy, for lack of a better word. So the first is the report that was generated. Do you have any thoughts on that report?
The report that was generated, I know at the last meeting that we had for that, there were some people that didn't like the report at all. Okay. I think it was done, but I don't think that the report could by any way be construed as complete and accurate, because like the gentleman who ran the innovation group, I think he was put under the gun there a little bit. There just isn't enough data at this particular time in the state of Nebraska to see how these casinos are really going to affect horse racing and things like that. I thought he was in an unenviable position. Some people said we need to throw the whole thing out. My personal opinion is we just need to embellish it a little bit and make it better. I think the idea of it is smart. Before they do any type of licensing or any of that type of thing, it's my experience in the racing commission. Once again, I've been there for 4 or 5 months, that they do a good amount of due diligence in terms of like, is having a racetrack in a certain area going to have an economic impact on an existing racetrack and those types of things, which are all things that need to be taken into consideration, I think.
So I don't want you to answer like specifically about any application
Sure,
or anything like
sure.
that. I was just trying to get a sense of your general philosophy about issuing new licenses. Do you think would your position be there's not enough information in that report to issue new licenses, or do you think that that's case by case basis?
Well, I think that they did a decent enough job in terms of, they did a study where they had like, and I don't have it off the top of my head, but like 8 different scenarios in that study. Okay. And I think it's common sense to think that you probably, don't want, if I were going to walk into a town and there were gas stations on 3 corners, I probably wouldn't put a gas station on the 4th corner, if you understand what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I do think that there's a slice of the pie that just gets cut too thin. I mean, that's my own personal opinion. I don't speak for the Racing and Gaming Commission in general. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Along the same lines, do we have enough horses
No.
now to expand?
No, I don't think so at this particular time. And I think, once again, my personal opinion, I come at this from the standpoint that my brother was heavily involved in horses. I've been involved with him from the standpoint of a fan. I've had friends. I've been around it all my life. And like I said, racing in Nebraska and racing in general, I mean, it's gone down. I just hope that Nebraska horsemen get a fair shake that going forward. And Fawner Park this weekend, I wasn't out there, but I looked at the entries and they had 6 horse fields, 7 horse fields, in some case 5 horse fields. I think that we don't have enough horses. And the way that we're going to be able to get more horses is to make it more economically feasible for the breeding population in the state of Nebraska to come back. It may not be ever what it once was, but give those breeders the incentive to have more horses, I think, and we have to do that at some point.
How many tracks are open right now?
Right now, we've got,
Fawner is.
what's that?
Fawner is.
Fawner is, yeah, Fawner is the only one that's open in the state of Nebraska. What we were going to do this year, Fawner Park, what we were hoping to do, back in the old days, I'm an old guy, but Exarban, Fawner started in February. Then we went to Exarban. Then we went to State Fair Park. Then we went to Columbus. So you had kind of a nice little circuit for the Nebraska horsemen to follow. We were hopeful this year that Fawner would go from the 1st of or middle of February to Kentucky Derby Day. And then Columbus would start like May 15th. Things got pushed back a little bit there. So Columbus has moved back to late September, early October. In a perfect world, what I would like to see personally is that, the horsemen, because now all of a sudden we've got 4 months where do you go, right? Between Fawner Park and Columbus. Hopefully we can get the horse population up and we can get kind of a circuit going back with Nebraska racing like we used to have. And like I said, I don't know that it'll ever be what it once was, but we would hope that we get moving that direction. So to answer your question, no, we don't have enough horses right now. And Fawner, and this year, simulcast, you guys know about the simulcast stuff. We have to race 52 days. Fawner's going 31 days. Columbus, I believe, 15 or 16. Lincoln and Omaha, between them, maybe 3 or 4. Atticad may have 1 or something. So we have to go the 52 days in order to qualify for simulcasting. All right. So we got to get other tracks up and running a little bit, besides just Fawner Park, I think.
Thank you.
Sure.
Senator Brewer.
Yes.
Sure.
Just following along your lines, there is a passion out there to expand. You hear about North Platte, you hear about Scotts Bluff. But if we track with what you're saying with the horses, those are probably quite a ways down the line if it's even realistic to expand that far out. Is that Would that be a fair
I think that's
assessment?
reasonable. I think that's reasonable. I mean, you have to, I don't want to take too much time, but the way that I look at this is this. Fauner Park has 20% higher purses this year than it did last year. That helps. I mean, there's no question that helps. But we're still behind places like Prairie Meadows, Canterbury Park, some places in Oklahoma, certainly Hot Springs in Arkansas. We're not direct competition with them. So, you know, it's not going to be just purses alone that are going to make horses come into Nebraska. We have to get our horse population up, okay? And so in order to have that, like you say, this is all down the road. You know, this is all new territory for us with the casinos and this and that. And, you know, hopefully we can get it rolling. I just, you know, like I say, I just want to give them a fair shake, see how good we can do.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Senator Brewer. Senator Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Chairman, and thanks again, Mr. Stinson. Of course, questions breed questions, and don't worry about taking up too much time.
Okay.
We'll go forever if you let us. Well, just the horse population, and this is the thing I've learned since being on this committee, and you're very knowledgeable, so you clearly know this. There are thoroughbreds, and then there are quarter horse tracks, right? And my understanding is we only have one quarter horse track.
Yes.
And in terms of this sort of creating a circuit, is there not an interest in creating a circuit for quarter horse as well as thoroughbred? Because the circuit is all thoroughbred we're talking about.
Right. The circuit that I'm talking about is thoroughbred. Okay. There may well be a circuit at some point for quarter horses. I think in terms of, you know, that's down the road too. I know that, and like I say, I've only been there, but I think Bellevue is looking or is wanting to look at a quarter horse track. Of course, you know, Omaha is right there with the thoroughbred track. Bellevue is, and then Hastings Exposition and Racing, I think, is wanting to move their license out west. Okay, but that would be a quarter horse track out there too. As small as the population, and I'm not an expert at this, but as small as the population is in Nebraska bred thoroughbreds right now, I would imagine that the population in Nebraska bred quarter horses is less than that. So all of this, you know, when they passed this casino deal and had the racetracks attached to it, that changed everything. We're kind of in the embryonic stages right now of what we may be able to do going forward. So we have to have plans, but we have to also be able to react to, you know, when those plans maybe possibly change, depending upon, you know, what the public wants too. These places are going to be nice. The casino in Grand Island, the casino, I've been to Columbus. I've seen what they're doing there. They're going to have a mile track in Columbus, which I think is a big deal. I really, really do. I mean, a lot of horsemen like to race on mile tracks. Grand Island's 5/8 of a mile. Lincoln was 5/8 of a mile. Omaha, Exarban, of course, was a mile, but now it's 5/8 of a mile. So we're making strides. It's just going to take a little bit of time, I think.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Senator Kavanaugh. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Bruce Bailey, Nebraska Liquor Control.
Good afternoon.
You get the mileage award today.
Okay. Chairman Lowe and Senators of the General Affairs Committee. My name is Bruce Bailey. Currently serve the commission from the 1st Congressional District and current chairman of the commission. I was first appointed in 2014 to serve the remaining of Bill Austin's term, who had resigned. I was appointed to a 6-year term in 2018 and was designated chairman in 2019. While I've been on the commission, we've had some significant changes. One was the commission's actions of having 4 beer stores of White Clay obviously reapply for their license, and the commission was able to reject those applications. We have worked with the industry to update the farm winery, craft distillers, and craft brewers to aid in their growth. And I'm very proud of worked with the commission, staff, the industry, the legislature, Governor Pillen, formerly Governor Ricketts, to bring the business model of the commission to the 21st century from what we were dealing with in 1986 software by building and soon to be unveiling of the CAMP project, which will take applications and tax collections online. This project's estimated to go online live on May 6th of this year. The system will be more accessible to licensees, to city clerks, and more importantly, the law enforcement. One of my plans is, if confirmed, is to leverage our new technology to increase the amount of education, training for what the commission will be able to offer. Not only a better server, but seller of training experiences, but also training of the best practices for management and security of the licensed locations. I ask for your support on the appointment and send my application to the floor, and happy to answer or try to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Are there any questions? Senator Cavan.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Bailey, for your willingness to continue to serve, especially after the experiences that you articulated you've had on the commission, know how important the work is and how tough it is. I'm sure we'll hear how great you are from Mr. Roop, or maybe, I don't know, we'll see. My question is, though, I was just looking at your application and you list as an independent and you put party affiliation other. I was asked by a past governor to change from R to independent to allow an R to be appointed. What's the story there?
Actually, I became an independent prior to that happening, but the way the statutes read is you can't have three people of the same party.
Yeah.
I had already become an independent prior to that, but it allowed me to let the governor appoint a third person onto it. In this case was an R. So I'm independent and there are two Rs at this time.
But why did you write that the governor asked you to change it then?
Actually, he did. I already had done it prior to that by about 6-7 months.
Okay. But I mean, you articulated the reason why we have, you know, there's a statute that says you can't have people of the same party. So it's, I guess, I had
been asked, but I had already done it.
I appreciate your service, and I'm on the board and of the work you've done. I'm just, the wheels in my head, I guess, are turning about what to think about subverting the law by asking people to change their party registration and what the implication of that is. But that's good.
Yeah. And
it just raised a flag for me on here, but I appreciate your service on there.
Thank you.
And the answer.
I think the Liquor Commission deals with, if you don't declare everything on your application, it gets thrown out. So I think you might have just been declaring everything. Any other questions? It's good to see you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, something I haven't done in the last ones, proponents and neutral. I forgot to do that.
Maybe Hobie's not going to.
Unless you're asking me to.
No.
No.
I just called you out.
Okay.
That's all right.
Okay, we'll now go to Clark Roush. See ya. How about Jana Goranson? Brian Botsford. Cameron Arch.
Chairman Lowe, members of the committee. I'm not Cameron Arch. I'm David, D-A-V-I-D, Geier, G-E-I-E-R, Director of the Nebraska Gambler Assistance Program. I'm here to speak in favor of three candidates you have today. Cameron Arch is the first. You also have Claudia Moore and Kelly Lambert. And I was told they all were allowed to appear by writing a letter to the committee. First time we've done this, I thought I'd better at least stop in and say hello, make sure that you know the other members of the commission support all three of these candidates. The staff does as well. They're excellent members of our commission. We need them. They fulfill three of the statutory required positions. So I ask for your approval of their applications. If you have any questions.
Are there any questions? Yes, Senator Cavan.
Thank you, Chairman, and thanks for being here. I don't see that I got a letter yet. I guess I'm just wondering if we will get it. And you said they were Are they appointed for specific positions?
Yes,
or-
Cameron Arch is appointed because he's an attorney.
Okay.
Dr. Claudia Moore is a physician with a board specialty in addiction medicine. Kelly Lambert is a consumer of problem gambling assistance services. She is a gambling addiction and recovery. So they fulfill 3 of the required positions.
What are the other positions?
Well, there's another required addicted gambler in recovery. There are 2 members at large. One must have a background in education, one with a background in finance and banking, and one with at least specialized knowledge in data analysis.
And those folks are already appointed. These are the only vacancies.
Yeah, actually, there are 3 more that are in the pipeline. There are 3 that are waiting to be presented on the floor. There are 3 more that have just now applied for reappointment. We go through 3 of them every year.
Okay.
So we're kind of in the midstream with them.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kaplan. Yes, the letters are in the binder, so.
Oh, okay. I'm looking in the wrong place.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Well, that concludes Cameron Arch, Claudia Moore, and Kelly Lambert. Now we have Lovell James Wright. How are you?
Afternoon, Senator. I am not Lovell James Wright. I'm Mike Markey, Executive Director of the Arts Council, and I'm just decided to step forward because all 4 of the candidates for reappointment who are not here today all indicated to me that they were going to be sending a letter. I just want to make sure that you have that. If you don't have that, I will make sure that you do. You do have those 4 letters. Each of them contacted me individually and said, I don't want this to be any sort of sign that I'm not excited about being on the Arts Council. And I said, I think after going through 838 that you all would appreciate the time back to yourself. So I said the letter would probably suffice. So
I do need you to spell your name.
Oh, did I do that? I'm sorry.
Say and spell your name again.
Mike Markey, Mikey, Markey.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Senator Kavanaugh, you have a very good creative district in your district.
Too.
So anytime you'd like to know more about it, I'd be happy to tell you that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, yes, you may.
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks for being here. I actually talked with my creative district at lunch, and they said you were the person to talk to about a lot of the economic impacts, I think, and some data collection perhaps on the effects. But just, do you have anything generally you want to say about the tremendous success that the Creative District program is across the state?
Sure. I just got done talking to 130 excited people about the district program. 48 communities are now in the works. 20 of them have been certified. 20 more are working towards Creative District status across the state. All shapes and sizes of communities have joined. And as to the data collection and the results, we are just now finishing our first year of the development grant portion of the program. And so that data that is coming back in is anecdotal at this point. We are working at developing a universal means of developing the data so that we can show exactly. What I can tell you is that in the time that we've had the program, there have been 28 creative districts, 24 new arts festivals, 12 new community events that were born out of the program, 3 new renovated spaces, 1 new hotel, 1 new theater, and 1 new museum.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of excitement within the communities, and there's a lot more to come.
And this is all within the last year?
That is with it. Well, the program is been around 3 years, but the creative districts, we are about a year and a half in now. So yeah, that's what's happened in that time frame.
Okay.
And there's just a lot more out there. We've been very grateful for the appropriation that we've received. But with 48 districts, we'll be coming back and asking for a greater investment in that process next September, next year.
I just remember that reminded me again. Questions breed questions. I do have another question regarding that, unrelated to these appointees. Are you able, as a result of the creation of this program, are you seeking additional federal funds? Are you able to go out and seek additional federal funds?
Yes, sir. One of the purposes of the meeting today was to avail the creative districts of the federal funds that are out there, both through the Nebraska National Endowment for the Arts, the USDA, on down the Mid-America Arts Alliance, the regional area, just that there are other sources of funding that they should be looking at the same time that they're looking to the state government. But yes, sir, that's a large part of what we're doing is now that the program is up, it's running, it's successful, it's generated the excitement and potential that it has. Now what's the next level? And a lot of that is funding.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Senator Gallo. Senator Brewer.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, I just want to make a comment on, I know on Jana Goranson, we went to high school together.
And she has a great name.
And she has a great name, okay. A 15-hour drive for a couple of minutes here would be a painful investment of time, energy, and effort. So I'm sure it's not that they don't want to be here, but sometimes their time is more valuable than this, opportunity for the hearing. And also give a shout out for the Willow Tree Festival, which Jana's been a huge part of. So thank you.
Large part of it. And thank you, because they're all in that boat. Jana is 15 hours away. James Wright works in Washington, D.C. right now. He's so to make it back was if he could write a letter, that would be great for him. And Clark is doing great things out in York for us.
And if they're doing a good job, we just let them keep doing a good job.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, Senator Brewer. No other questions? Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you for the time.
And that ends our hearings for the day.
Don't we have a bill about not having to redo the art council?
Yeah.
Where is that? It's not going on.
Kavanaugh? No, that's ours.
We can do that through the.
No.